Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. We are back with a bang. Hello to each and
2025.
2025. Hello to each and every one of you from myself, Luke, and the barreled Gavin.
How's things? Happy New Year.
Happy New
Woo!
Year. Woohoo!
We survived, Luke. We're doing all right. We nearly made the year. We're nearly
We
there.
did. We did. We're nearly there. We're nearly there.
They
We're
got,
actually a, we're actually a lot closer to when we would have started than the release date because we would have started doing a wee bit the end of February, start of March.
it's
But the
true.
first episode released on the 25th of March.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you could say we're what, nearly 10 months into this project.
Yes.
We're
Going
going
right in.
strong,
Going strong, bite. Every day is.
going strong.
So, what are we going to talk about today? Tell us.
What we're going to talk about first is the listens would indicate that you guys missed us over Christmas when we took a break. So, thanks to each and every one of you who have continued to listen, even though we haven't put out an episode in about 3 weeks because we were on our Christmas holidays making presents in the North Pole for all the lovely boys and girls to make sure that they'd be happy around the Christmas. But now we're
That's it.
back to talking about music.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah. Look,
today we are going to talk about
Dead Magnetic by Metallica.
Death Magnetic by Metallica, the ninth studio album by Metallica, released the 12th of September 2008, one day short of the best day in the world, my birthday.
Oh,
The
geez.
ninth studio release from Metallica, signaling a return back to their thrash metal roots.
Yeah.
10 songs of heavy riffs, thrash and drums, blistering solos, as well as some emotion evoking harmonies in the mix. It was produced by the one and only Rick Rubin, and it was the first album without Bob Rock since the Black Album.
Yeah. 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 Big change, wasn't it?
Massive change up. They really shook up the lineup there, didn't they?
Really did and like Rick Rubin is talk about a mix of music who he's worked with over the years, from hip hop. I actually listened to and I think you did too, Luke, a fantastic podcast with was it Joe Rogan? Um Rick was on. I think it was Joe, was it? Was it Joe Rogan?
Yeah, he has a
And
great one with Joe.
and how he started off in NYU in New York out of his dorm room producing music, hip hop at the start, and how he gradually moved into different fields. I think he's touched nearly every genre, Luke, has he at this stage?
It seems to be, yeah,
What
that
was the
he's worked with a multitude of different artists
what was that
spanning
hip hop group from New York? He was in Cypress Hill. Was it Cypress Hill? Uh
uh,
oh God, who was it? No, Wu Tang Clan.
he worked with Wu-Tang.
I think so. God, I hope I'm right now. But anyway, he's worked with so many different artists, and it was probably only fitting that he got to do one album with Metallica, for all his experience and everything. Overall, Luke, it got a lot of the overall sound and everything. It got a bit of
It
stick.
got a bit of backlash as any album that would follow Saint Anger would definitely receive. It
Yes,
wouldn't matter how good it was going to be. It was
yes,
still going to get a little bit of criticism because people would be very critical after Saint Anger. It was going to be judged
yes,
extremely harshly either way.
yeah, yeah. It was recorded too in March, I believe, 14th to May 22nd. Recorded in three different studios, Luke. Sound City, Shangri-La Studios, and then in Metallica HQ. Um,
That's actually very interesting to me that it was recorded in two studios outside of HQ.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And funny, we were chatting too, and I know there's different, as you said, tunings and different, but I found some songs actually had a different feel to it as well. Like I don't you wonder, is that down the studio, down to environments, big rooms, small rooms,
Exactly similar to some other album reviews that we spoke about remember when we talked about the Queens of the Stone Age and then we spoke of the Black Album
Yes.
and the rooms that the drums were recorded in? And you had said that throughout this journey on the podcast, you're now fit to throw your ear on those sounds and pick the differences.
Yes,
Now,
yes, yes,
the difference for anyone who hasn't listened to those album reviews is that the Black Album was recorded in one studios, that Gavin has a fabulous piece of memorabilia there behind him is actually four pieces, I should say, from the actual floor of the studio in
yes,
which the Black Album was recorded.
yes.
The floor was taken up when it was renovated and sold off. The pieces of the floor were, so that's an extremely cool piece of memorabilia to have
Yeah,
among the collection. But for those of you who haven't watched the documentary or listened to the podcast that we done on it, the drums were recorded in a very big room. Tons of natural reverb outside of any processing that was done, and that lended itself to a massive drum sound. And it sounded huge, probably one of my favorite drum sounds for rock drums anyway, ever to be recorded.
yeah, yeah,
Second to that, we done a review on Songs for the Deaf by Queens of the Stone Age, and it was documented that that album, or the drums in particular, were recorded in a very small room,
mm,
very closed room, very dead, and you can hear that in the difference, especially if you watch one of your favorite documentaries, Eric
yeah,
Valentine speak about the mixing and the processing, and you hear the rough mix before the master, isn't it? And
yeah,
it's like so similar to the album. It's just, it
yeah.
really is magnificent engineering. That's what it.
Unbelievable.
He done a hell of a job.
Yeah, even like remember on about like the different mics and stuff. Like, was it the mic was behind some of the amps and different
Yeah,
positions?
he had put that Sony mic or whatever. It was like behind the amplifier. But as I
Very,
had said to you, it was funny reading about it that the minimalistic setup for the drum,
yeah,
the microphone setup,
yeah.
was fairly costly. It would bring a tear to your eye now if that's what you saw sitting in your shopping trolley or sitting in your cart online and you went to hit purchase. You'd want a nice limit on the credit card in order for that to go through.
But it's another monster fucking album that too, and I love the drums in that and how different they are as well, and even the way they're recorded with cymbals and without the cymbals and stuff like that. Um, but we're here to talk about that magnetic.
But
Um,
back to your question. That's why you're likely hearing a different sound.
Different studios, yeah, different
Yeah,
sizes, different environment.
across
Yeah,
the
yeah.
tracks.
Um,
What are the examples?
for
What do you
me,
hear? Yeah,
well, I noticed something in the first two tracks. I thought that the snare drum sounded a little like, as you'd say, popcorny, a little bit. Maybe it was tuned very high, almost. I'm not going to say Saint Anger feel to it, but it definitely has a pop to it, a different, a kind of a echoey, poppy feel to it compared to tracks like All Nightmare Long, where it seems to be more reserved, or more solid, or I don't know what's the right word for it. You'd be able to probably. I just noticed a massive difference, massive.
it's something that I've thrown my ear to after it was made known to me by a number of different engineers and producers. But sometimes the tension of your snare wires, I'm going down the drum nerd rabbit hole here for a minute. The tension of your snare wires is going to contribute to the decay or the length of the note that your snare drum produces.
Right?
So if you have them really tight, it's going to be a short, snappy sound. And if you
Yes.
have them loose, it's going to reverberate and hang on a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Now, a pro tip I was given was that you can adjust it at times depending on the tempo of the song. So if the song is slower and you want more snare wire in it or more of that crackle and pop, you can loosen them off a wee bit and let it carry. Whereas if it has that sort of more fast paced, which would be that was just your life comes out of the gate and absolutely takes the head of you, they're
Mm.
likely tuned high, get the snare out of the way. Whereas if you think of the like of a cyanide, there's a lot more space in the song.
Yeah, it's actually funny you say something I wrote down. Tempo. Going back and listening to this album, I felt also I'm giving the first two tracks a lot of grief here, but I have to give my honest opinion, and we can't lick everyone's tutu. But I feel like them two tracks are crying out for a higher tempo.
The
It's just
first two tracks,
yeah, yeah. I really do. I feel like it's just like it's in third gear. Drive it. Compared to all
no,
compared to all Nightmare Long, I think it's just it's waiting too long. The day that never comes, it's too
it's
slow
track
for
number
me.
four.
Sorry, the first track that was just your life.
That
Uh,
was just your life's crazy fast.
I don't know. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. I felt like it just felt like it could have went up another gear.
You know all about it when you play it.
Yeah, but they can play faster, and they can still play faster to this day.
Yeah, they can, but it is fast. It's fast when you play it. Like that galloping riff that that Hetfield has that main riff in it. I know what you're saying about it when it starts to slow down, maybe before the pre-chorus,
Hmm.
but that's an intense track. I'm sure you heard it live as well. It's probably what they opened with when you saw them on the Death
Yeah,
Magnetic tour.
yeah,
It's what
probably.
they opened with when I saw them, and it's brilliant. Them, in my opinion, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
The end of the line maybe could have a wee bit more of a push, but I think it grooves lovely, sits in the pocket really nice. Can't help but bang your head to it.
yeah. I don't know. Just the more I listened to it last day or two, I just thought, and it's too long. It's too long.
You think so?
Yeah, yeah, it's too long. It's my opinion. It's
What
what is it?
about?
8 minutes long or something. It's like I was listening
I
to it. I'm
think
like,
it's six something or seven something.
yeah,
First two tracks I think make up like 15 minutes
yeah.
or
I
just short of
just
it.
felt myself listening to it, and I'm like looking, how long is left in this? You
Yeah,
know, you know. Just to me, I love Metallica, but I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I think there's way better tracks in this album compared to them. Sorry, just me.
so that was just your life, and the end of the line would have got scrapped.
I would say scrapped. There's just for me on that album, they're not close to some of the other ones that I'm going to give flowers to. But I've just been honest, just been
So
honest.
moving on to track number three, we had Broken, Beaten, Scarred.
Brilliant. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Um, fast, fast. Um, what do you think? What do you like about that song?
I like how it grooves. I like how it sits in the pocket. I like the fills.
Yeah,
Always actually interested me. The chorus itself, I thought, was very innovative.
right.
Um, I think this is another album that Lars's technicality gets to shine through on a little bit. People would have my head for that because people aren't massive fan of anything that Lars has played after And Justice for All.
There's always a
But
few.
I would feel that Death Magnetic is almost a Justice 2.0.
100%. It's the closest thing to a trash album that they've done since that era.
Yeah, and there's a lot of nice wee bits and pieces. There's a lot of intent, and something that I had found when I was researching that Lars had actually stated Dead Magnetic was a statement of intent. It was about reclaiming our identity and pushing the boundaries of what Metallica could be. And I
Mm,
think they definitely captured that. I
yeah.
would feel as a listener that a lot of the material or the choices that went into that magnetic were definitely intentional. They were thought out. They were A B'd against other choices. Everything was with purpose. There was no stone left unturned.
Yeah, it was funny. You heard that story about where they got the name from. Did you hear that story?
I think I have it in the notes somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, like Lane, there was a that magnetic. It was James Hetfield was commented saying that uh, that magnetic, at least to me, this is quoted by Hetfield. That magnetic, at least to me, started out as a kind of a tribute to people that have fallen in our business, like Lane Staley, and a lot of people that have died, basically rock and roll martyrs of sorts. He said, and it kind of grew from there, thinking about death. Some people are drawn towards it just like a magnet, and other people are afraid of it and it pushes them away. Also, the concept that we're all going to die sometimes is over talked about, and then a lot of times never talked about. And that's where he got that pull and push factor for the magnetic. And but there was a photograph of Lane Staley in the studio, and Kirk Hammett, I think, brought it in. It just randomly happened to come in or something, and that's supposedly where Hetfield got the
Where the
inspiration.
inspiration came from it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's unreal considering that like James and Jerry Cantrell, I think would be decent friends, or the
yeah.
Alice in Chains guys and Metallica seem to have a good connection.
Yeah, there's rumors at the minute that maybe Hetfield and Jerry could be working on something.
Yeah, it's hard to know whether that'd be true or not, but I'd be welcome to it.
Yeah, I don't think has Hetfield done much outside Metallica.
Not really.
No, no. And
Not really. That's why
they have performed together a few times, just on one-off kind of gigs and stuff like that. But be interesting, you know. But I
it'd
think
be interesting to see.
they're busy.
In track number four, we had The Day That Never Comes.
I don't think I'll ever forget Madrid. It
Yeah, that was amazing.
was unbelievable. Like that's what I'm saying. I think these tracks just are so much better. But anyway, the day that never comes yet. That moment, that riff, we've spoken about it before. There was you've mentioned pocket and feel, like the feel of that song, the lyrics of that song. I remember the video for that song. Everything about that is so good. The lyrics are probably some of the best, I think, for that album in that song.
Yeah, definitely so. And believe it or not, I feel that The Day That Never Comes, the more I listen to it, is almost like they are modern day Fade to Black.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of a ballady kind of. It's not really a ballad, but it's yes, I understand where you're coming from. Yeah,
The
yeah,
guitar part,
yeah.
the clean with that nice wee solo in the intro, and then the really clean verse, and then the heavy chorus.
You know, like a lot of harmony guitar in that as well. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot in it, especially on the outro.
yeah.
They play that sort of dual harmony bit.
I think in the studio I read some of that Hetfield did both, and they just
Okay, he could have done. He could have doubled it.
yeah they doubled it. Yeah, I don't know how true that is, but I did read it somewhere online. Um, but yeah, I love it. I really love it. Again, the lyrics are just class. I think it's another insight into Hetfield, kind of opening up a little bit, about his struggles and stuff. Um, but very, very good song. I really love it. I really, really love it. It's class.
Track
Um,
number five, and
yes.
probably, I don't know, maybe the most underappreciated track on the album,
Mm,
All Nightmare Long,
yeah. Brilliant.
was down tuned. I think it got drop D,
Right.
and it's heavy.
Yes, it's heavy and it's fast and it's angry and it's trash and it's yeah, it gives you everything, I think, that song. Um
There's some great drumming in that song.
Fucking fast, isn't it?
The
It is
guitar
fast.
playing is phenomenal in it. Phenomenal in it. Kirk's
Yeah,
solo is absolutely class.
yeah, yeah. The start of it's brilliant too. Yeah, I love the start of it again. Almost makes you feel like you're entering an uneasy situation. You know that like eerie guitar kind of as it starts. Uh, then around 40 seconds, someone or something starts chasing you down a path of non-stop trash and chugging and thundering music, biting at your heels the whole way through the song. Like, it's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah,
Really,
the lyrics are very interesting.
yeah,
Even just starting with that look runs out. As
yeah,
you'd
yeah,
say,
yeah.
you just feel like something's breathing down your neck.
Someone's watching you.
It's getting closer.
Yeah. Like it brings you. That song brings you on a trip, brings you on a ride. Like it's a brilliant song, but it carries you somewhere. You know,
Yeah.
there's up and downs to it. Like, and some just don't like some of the other stuff that's kind of just linear and just a song. But I really, really like that. And as you said, underrated songs, Luke, Cyanide. Again,
Yes.
we got the
Track
pleasure
number 6.
with the pleasure to hear that in Madrid as well. And I think we heard it. Did we hear it in Slane?
I don't think so, but I do remember hearing Cyanide at my first Metallica gig
Yeah,
in Marley Park in 2008.
yeah,
That was the 20th of August. So it was 3 weeks before the release of the album. And I remember them teasing it and James talking about we're going to play, a new one
yeah,
off the new album. And they played Cyanide.
yeah. I love it. I love it.
And I remember thinking at the time before I got to, hear the album that it was very different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's funny, I read somewhere that John in a 2008 interview, James was quoted saying that this track will be played for a long time in the future during shows. And Jesus, damn right, he
Yeah,
was.
it lived up to the expectation.
Was always going to be in and around the set list, like, and damn, he was right, like, because it definitely pops up a lot. And
I always think that bit, the breakdown before the solo,
yes,
is absolutely class. And
yeah,
the wit in his lyrics for the more reserved parts of the songs musically really shines through. Like it grips your ears, like say is that rain or are they tears that stains your concrete face for years?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's brilliant. The only small little negative I'd have on that, and it's very small, is the overall. We all know, or maybe some of our listeners don't know, is like the loudness wars and the compression that's on this. Like, there's no doubt about it that the guitars and everything. You could probably speak a lot better than me, Luke. But the compression, I did find that this one, listening on headphones, it really is loud. It really
It
is.
blow the head of you.
Yeah, you know where you can't get that good balance because everything is so compressed, and that's nothing down to Metallica. That's just the recording and how it was mixed or whatever. But I did find on that track it is a bit painful after a while. I did just the compression on it and that whole shit,
Sharp.
the loudness wars and all that crap, and trying to get the loudest record and all this crack. And thank God them days are over. But
On to track number 7, which I think has the best lyrics on the
yeah,
whole album, The Unforgiven 3.
Hetfield plays the piano too.
I didn't know that actually.
Hmm. Yeah, Hetfield plays the piano at the opening bit. I think it's a very underrated song. Very, very
Powerful.
powerful. Honest again. Um, I feel like I love that. How could I be lost when I've got nowhere to go? That's fucking deep. Like,
Yeah.
that's deep. I remember the first time I was living in America when this album came out, and I was walking a lot, and I was walking on my own a lot. So I'd throw an earphone in or I'd throw the headphones on, and this album was on repeat the whole time, you know. And I remember the first time that this come on, and I was on my own in my own world painting or something, and that song, that lyric came out. I was like, oh. And you think of some poor unfortunate person that's maybe homeless or in a bad situation or just lost in themselves or somewhere, and you hear that lyric. How can I be lost? Ah, man, I was like, shit. This
I
is
like that the theme across the song seems to be about past decisions
yeah. It's a battle
or
against
event or,
yourself.
or events. Yeah, a battle within the self.
Yeah,
And I think it's incredible that when it takes a step back in the bridge and the lyrics,
Yeah,
forgive me not.
yeah, yeah. And then the
And
solo.
then the big scream before the solo, like, why can't I forget this?
Yeah. I can't forget that. Bam.
And then straight in Kirk just with a big bend that it
Drum.
reminds me of the video in the Black album. I'm sure you've watched it, and our listeners, if you haven't watched it, it's an interesting 6 or 7 minutes out of I think the making of the Black album, or a year and a half in the life of Metallica, where Bob Rock and Kirk Hammett are having a discussion about the solo in The Unforgiven, and he's asking him to try and bring a certain style to it. And Kirk seems to have a lot of trouble until he absolutely nails it. But they talk about it being a roller coaster that sort of brings you up, brings you down, and brings you higher again, and then absolutely brings you down and up again until you
100%.
sort of level out. And the solo in The Unforgiven 3 is very reminiscent of that feel that you get in The Unforgiven 1.
Yeah, yeah. There's serious feel to it. Like, it's more than a song, it's a story, it's an emotion, it's a journey, and it's you know, again, I think it's just a little peephole into Hetfield's life, where he
Yeah,
just puts a little bit of, you're kind of getting to know more and more of Hetfield as his journey goes on through, even some of the load stuff and fixer and reload and, you know, I think after the crap with St. Ango and his troubles and stuff, you know, he's obviously gone through a lot of stuff, went to sort himself out, and maybe a new chapter open. And this is where we're getting a lot of the lyrics from this album, I
yeah,
think.
for sure.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's where we could be getting it from. It's like stuff that we have spoke about previous, when executives or high-end producers would say that after somebody writes their best stuff and then they go and tour it, usually they have maybe a wee bit of trouble for the next album, and if not the next album, definitely the album after that, if all it has been is work.
mm,
And usually the advice they give to the artist is go live a little
mm.
and go see the world, and then you'll come back with some fresh ideas or bits and pieces like
But there was
that.
a big gap, wasn't there?
It wasn't that big because St. Ango was 2003, and then it was 5 years. So it was
Years.
2008. Like, it was 8 years before we got the next album. It was 2016 before we got Hardwired.
It's true. Yeah, that's true.
And
But
then, what, 72 seasons came in 2022. So that was, what, another
oh,
6 years?
6 years. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Yeah, I suppose you're right. But yeah, I'd highly rate that song. Brilliant, brilliant. And I know a lot of people give it a bit of stick. Oh, Unforgiven 1, 2, and 3. Piss off. I love them. Shut up.
Yeah, yeah, I love them all actually. And there's a great video on YouTube. Shout out to whoever created it, that they stitched 1, 2, and 3 together and they all roll into each other. And if you have 20 minutes to do what Dave Moore has said to us before he does with the bass, and lie on the bed with the eyes closed and listen to Sting and play along,
Yes.
it's really worth it for the experience of it all.
Yeah, 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 definitely. I'm not having any shit on any of them Unforgivens, the class. Uh,
Well, I definitely feel that, along with the album being a statement of intent, it was very much like the Irish Two Fingers. It was almost like a, you didn't like Saint Anger, well, suck on this.
yeah.
And the next track number 8 on the album, is a great example of this, with the
Hmm.
Judas Kiss
Great
and
little word,
some
isn't it?
phenomenal guitar work, especially from James. Very reminiscent of that Kill 'Em All feel.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you have that the riff of the chorus. If you listen to that part, or if you look up the video of making of Magnetic and you see him play it with the little triplets in between the bass notes, the bow down. It's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Just the guitar works phenomenal altogether.
I love the song title. I think it's class. Judas Kiss,
Yeah,
brilliant. So good.
can
Uh,
I resist
I
the
actually
Judas
wrote,
Kiss?
I didn't even look down when you were chatting there, but I had it down as a very Justice song.
Did you think so?
Yeah, when I was doing it,
That's brilliant. Yeah.
very fast and trashy, punchy lyrics. Um, Again, another great solo with the wah pedal in full effect as it was throughout this album. But yeah, it's a really, really good song. Really, really good song.
Yeah, you're right. It could be thought as sort of just to see almost a. Yeah, you're right. You know what? It's reminiscent of the shortest straw.
Yeah, yeah,
Like because the start of it, the down, the down, but it's nearly like do 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 do.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Similar to that
similar.
vibe.
Yes, yes. Um, then is it the instrumental is next, isn't it? Suicide.
Suicide and Redemption,
Yeah. The
brilliant track.
first instrumental since Justice to Live Is Today. Um, I love the end of it.
And yes, definitely the end of it is absolutely class.
I think it's a bit of a slow burn at the start, but it really gains legs as it goes on, I thought.
And
Um,
what about the solo?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I feel you're really slingshotted into the solo.
yeah. It comes fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, it comes at you. The opening phrase in it is absolutely unreal. The blending that sort of lower tone and then it goes high on the neck and then a lot of wah, a lot
Yeah,
of picking.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's good. It's good. Um, then into My Apocalypse, yeah.
A song that I still have trouble gelling with after all of these years.
To play or to listen to?
To listen to.
Okay.
Yeah, I was never the biggest fan of it. It's a great song. By God, it's fast as anything to take your head off. What an ending to an album.
Crushing metal, ripping skin. Yeah, I like that fast bit. And then the solos mental in it too, isn't it? And that's what I used to
Crazy.
Slayer is, but it feels like an 80s track. It feels like 80s Metallica kind of just, but yeah, some of the lyrics and stuff repeating. There's a lot of it in this album too. Like a lot of stuff is kind of repetitive, but it's okay. Like overall, I remember hearing this after Saint Anger and going, yes, thank fuck we're not getting more of that dirt. And just fast back to, as you said, Justice 2.0. Uh, I was never as happy to give what the first time I heard this album, like going, oh, yes, right, we're back on track here, back on track.
And you can understand why the album was received extremely well. You know,
Yeah,
it,
what
it
many,
led to widespread belief among fans that Metallica were back. Like a surprise, surprise, the kings of heavy metal are back in the building and here to stay.
yeah, sold 2 million records. Reached number one in the Billboard 200. It sold 490,000 copies in 3 days. Yeah.
Certified multi platinum and a
Yes.
Grammy for Best Metal Performance for, last but not least on the album, My Apocalypse.
Where was it?
Believe it or not, yeah, which I can understand because it's very technical.
Yeah, the four singles were The Day That Never Comes, My Apocalypse, and All Nightmare Long, and Broken, Beaten, Scarred. Hmm.
The video for All Nightmare Long is brilliant as well.
That's all the strobe light stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Really?
it's all animated.
And then the tour, as we said, we were lucky enough to see. You seen it twice, did you? Did you see it in
I
Belfast?
actually did see it twice. I saw it in Belfast as well.
Hmm.
And
It's the only time I ever got to see. I don't know about you. Did you see them twice indoor? But I only ever got to see them
just
once.
just the once in the Odyssey, which was unbelievable.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Talk about a wall and noise and sound and oh, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. But overall, yeah, very, very good album. I really enjoyed going over this album. Yes, it has its flaws with recording or whatever, the mixing and then the whole crack with Guitar Hero that they sent the other, the different copies. People say, "Oh, Guitar Heroes, piss off." This is
What's
what I.
that, Gavin?
So there was another release for Guitar Hero with different tracks that were mixed differently. and it wasn't compressed as much.
Okay.
But I mean, you know, you, you
So
got to roll.
people thought that the track that was on Guitar Hero Metallica
Yeah.
was a better mix than the album.
Yes. 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 Yes.
No way. I
Now,
do know that there was a lot of critical acclaim, as you said, in the mixing and the production. It was criticized heavily.
yeah. Yeah.
It's
To
also
be honest,
pointed out that the album lacked inventiveness that was present in earlier records, supposedly.
I wouldn't have that. No.
And another critical point that I wouldn't be a fan of, it was also said that the album was over polished, resulting in a different approach to their signature raw sound. I think that's bollocks.
I think that's bollocks too. Like, I mean, yeah, you know, these people that think Metallica are going to throw out the Ride the Lightning at what age? What, at 40 something? Then, you know, people evolve. You have to fucking evolve with the band. You know what I mean?
And I would have a counterclaim to that. Like I would think that the parts are very technical. As I
Yeah.
said to you before, the awareness is huge for where they want to go with the song and the song structure. It
Hmm.
feels like it was really well thought out for the 100th time I'm blue in the face saying it, that it was extremely intentional and just a great record all round.
It's a good,
Really feel like they all sat around, or all James and Lars sat around the
yeah.
whiteboard and with the string and no, put that there, play that riff with this riff. And
The only thing I'd say, I think it's a little bit too long. I think some tracks are definitely too
you
long.
think there could be like a minute or two or a verse less in a track, or
Yeah, yeah. And like some of the tracks, is it which one is it? Won't come to me now. Maybe it's all Nightmare Long actually. Now I love that track, but that chorus repeats a lot.
yeah,
You know, it
I
does.
love I love when it stops before the last chorus and he takes the breath
Yeah,
before the music comes back in.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Another element to this album, and I must watch a wee bit more on the documentary front, but it was said that Rick Rubin had advised the band to come to the studio with a lot of the material complete.
Yeah, I did see
And it
that.
was said that they had about 25 songs ready to go, fully
Mm.
loaded, and then they whittled it down to 14. Now, there was an EP. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this.
Oh
This
yeah,
might be fun for you to listen to this evening. Beyond Magnetic,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
the four tracks on that. I'm trying to think. There was Helen Back, there was Hate Train, Rebel of Babylon. Someone needs to help me out with the fourth one. I can't
Oh
remember what it was.
yeah, I have listened to it before. All right, yeah, yeah.
And it was brilliant too.
Same feel, yeah.
I would have loved to hear another album of Death Magnetic. I'd love to hear the full off cuts. I'd love to hear the 9 minutes.
Full demo.
Them. There is another great example of their creative process for Death Magnetic, where they played a live gig that featured on their YouTube channel as one of their COVID gigs.
Oh,
Remember, they would release a live gig that was unseen before every Monday or every Tuesday, every Monday, Metallica Mondays. It's the 2006 show from Berlin, I believe.
okay,
And there is a new song,
right.
and it's an amalgamation of some of the tracks from Death Magnetic. I think it was maybe End of the Line.
I thought you were going to mention the acoustic blackened.
No, no, was that on it as well? Or
That came out over COVID.
yeah, you enjoyed that? No,
No,
no, that was the one you didn't like.
yeah, no, I didn't like it. No,
You should have a look at the acoustic version or the country sort of version of Fuel that they played at the All Within My Hands
I
show
didn't.
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I didn't catch any of it. Was any good?
Oh yeah, brilliant. The acoustic set's class.
A fuel.
Yeah, yeah, you should hear it. It's absolutely unreal.
I'm gonna check that out. Definitely. I didn't get time to look up any of that stuff yet, but I definitely will. But
What would you rate this album, Gavin?
um in position wise of Metallica albums, or
Just
just
as
like a
an
score,
album. Just as an album.
I'd probably give it um like 10 is massive. So like what is five? Is five decent?
It's hard to know. Depends what your
No,
scale is.
yeah. I'd say if five is decent, I'd probably give it like a six and a half, seven. Yeah, I'd
Nice.
probably give it. I wouldn't shit on it now, no, at all. But it's uh, if I was going to grab an album, it would be probably in my top six of Metallica. I'd imagine, like after the first five, it probably would be my next grab.
Yeah.
To be honest, never really got into Hardwire. Probably didn't give it enough of a listen, to be honest. Um, 72 seasons too. Yeah, there's some. Again, I've listened to it maybe three, four, five times. I probably haven't given it enough. I do remember texting you one day saying this fucking song. I forget which one it was.
If Darkness Had a Son, I think. Or no, You Must Burn, is it that one?
Yeah,
Or
Born the Witch or something. Was it Born the Witch?
Burn, yeah. If Darkness Had a Son, I've been listening to a lot this
Yeah,
last couple of weeks. It's fucking brilliant.
it's good. Yeah, some of it, it's okay. It's more than okay. I just feel that some of it's a bit. I'm not going to say cheesy, but I don't know what the right word is. We'll have to review it and do better. Give. I don't want to
We
say that
will. I
because I
I
want
think
to.
it's incredible after 44 years of Metallica. When you listen to 72 seasons, James Hetfield's lyrics still sound fresh.
And as we
They're
heard, his vocals still brilliant live.
still innovative. He's actually getting better as a singer.
Yeah, yeah, he was so damn good, so damn good. Please God, I get to see them again at some stage
And
because
so much himself
yeah,
again.
he was so happy on that tour, wasn't he? You could just tell, even from a distance, without even talking to him, you could tell he was just in good form. Well, it wasn't raining that day, Luke.
Yeah, yeah. In fairness, they had a lot of rain over the tour. They
Yeah,
had sun,
yes,
the conditions were perfect. There was no wind.
brilliant. I was at, you know what? It was that cold in Ireland today. I was at work today and I was actually thinking about, oh, remember that day we were just sitting out drinking beer in Madrid? It was just lovely and warm. But on that
What
note,
we'd give to be back in a swimming pool
Luke,
on
what would
two
you give
hours
it?
sleep, looking out over the city.
Yeah, what score would you give this album?
It's gonna be up there like an 8.5, 9 for me, but that's because of sentiment. Like it had a huge bias. Came out 3 weeks after I went to see my first Metallica concert.
Yeah,
I think I got that album like three times for my birthday.
yeah,
I
yeah,
got it off two different people, and then I got the deluxe edition,
yeah.
um, with the Death Magnetic coffin and all the cool liner
Yeah,
notes
it's
and all the pictures, and
all part of
there's
the
a
journey too.
DVD, um, and I actually have it here. I have the vinyl as well, but really really cool, class
Yeah,
album.
yeah, yeah. It's really good. So, Luke, if any of our listeners are listening, where can they find us?
They can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter that we don't use and probably should start using,
Best thing I
on
think is
YouTube,
Instagram,
and on Patreon also.
and
That
we have an email address.
we have an email address, thatsoundpodcast@gmail.com, for all your queries and complaints.
or maybe give us some albums that you'd like us to chat about to review. Send us an email. Get us on Instagram. Probably the best place to get us, isn't
Yeah,
it?
send us a message if you have any interest in an album that you would like to see us do. Let us know. If you have any interest in guest recommendations,
Yes,
reach out to us too.
yes, yes. And we will be back with another episode shortly. So Until then, we'll see you on the next one.
Happy
Good
New
luck.
Year to you all.
Good luck.
Good luck.